JPI, can we go ahead and start rolling, please? This is the Global Press Conference. Marshall, go ahead and take it away.
Hi, everyone. This is Marshall from Disney. Thank you for joining us for the Safety Press Conference. Really quickly before we begin, a few housekeeping notes. Please make sure that you have your mute on and your cameras off the entire time. When you want to ask a question, please use the chat function here in Zoom. And when you type your question, please include your name and outlet name. If you're called on to ask your question, please unmute yourself. But keep your video off the entire time. And once you've asked your question, please then remute yourself. And we'll try to get to as many questions as possible. All right, we are ready to begin.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Don Munson. I am the play-by-play voice for the Clemson Tigers and excited to be part of this here today. You're going to love the movie when you see it. I was fortunate enough to be able to watch it actually last night with my family at home. And I can tell you, as being part of the Clemson family and part of the Clemson community, it was absolutely wonderful. I mean, just absolutely wonderful from that standpoint. So, you know, at this point, I guess we need to go ahead and maybe introduce the folks that we're going to bring in and be part of all this. We'll start with the man that plays Ray, and that's Jay Reeves. So we'll welcome Jay in. Thaddeus Mixon, who plays Famar and does a wonderful job of playing Famar, having known Famar and also Ray. Corinne Fox, who plays the character of Casey. We'll welcome her in. Also Hunter Sansone, who is the roommate, Daniel Morelli. We welcome Hunter. And then the director, Reginald Hudlin, our producer, Mark Chiardi. We'll welcome him in as well. And of course, the man himself, Ray McElrathby, is also with us, who all of this is based upon. So good to see everybody. I'm glad that we have at least one of us that has bought into the holiday spirit. That would be Corinne. She's got the Christmas.
There we go. Thank you.
And we have one of us that has done that. Always leave it to the woman in the room to bring the festivity to the house. I mean, that's the way that it is. Absolutely so. And guys, before as if you want to obviously ask a question, you can submit that, and we'll get to you and then allow you to do all of that from that standpoint. So as you type all questions in, and Jay, let me just start with you. First and foremost, you know, playing this role of Ray, you know, when you got the script and you saw all this, you know, just tell me your excitement that you had with making this film.
Oh man, ever since day one, I was overwhelmed with the excitement. It was crazy. I remember reading the description of the role and the story and dropping everything in that moment. As soon as I got the audition material, I was like, hey guys, I got to go home. And all my friends were wondering why I skated out of there. But this story was just so impactful to me that reading the description made me leave everything and go pursue it. So I'm so grateful to be a part of this project. It's amazing.
Well, it is. It's just been absolutely fun as we've been here at Clemson to, you know, obviously for me, the highlight was watching the shot actually in the stadium at halftime of the game when all that went down and all of our fans stayed there and it was a packed house that night. Anyhow, Mark, from your standpoint, can I ask you about shooting it at halftime and just the way that it seemed like, you know, Clemson just enveloped you all and really embraced this project?
Yeah, the school was absolutely amazing and supportive from the very beginning. You know, we had reached out to the school, Tim Match, obviously, the whole AD department, and it was a big kind of military operation to pull off that, you know, that 7 to 10 minutes, whatever it timed out to be. But you know, I was up in the booth with you guys. It was spectacular to watch from my angle. Everyone had their own perspective of it, but yeah, the school was amazing. You had to have that support to pull off something like that.
Well, watching the film last night, I mean, it looked unbelievable with 80,000 people packed in there and the noise they were making and stuff. It was outstanding. All right, let's go to our first question, and it's going to be from Alex Ree from Laughing Place. So, Alex, we'll allow you to come in and ask a question.
Hi, everybody. Love the film. My question is for Reginald Hudland. I was really impressed by the rotating shots in the dorm room in the beginning, and I was curious to know how complicated those were to set up and how those shots were achieved. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was crazy. I love that shot so much. I'm so proud of it. And I really have to give praise to Shane Hurlbut, who's my cinematographer. He was a real partner in crime in terms of like, okay, we can shoot things the conventional way, but why would we do that? Let's really convey the mindset of these guys, you know, waking up at these ungodly hours and getting up and getting going. So we set up this rig that, you know, went around. But the trickiest part is we had to move both of the walls to the side. So one wall was out, right? And the camera starts. And then we had to slide that wall back in and then move the wall on the other side so that the camera could be there on the go around. So this was where a film crew really has to work as a single piece. The camera operators, the riggers who are moving walls, and the actors who have to ignore all that craziness that's going on and just act like, yeah, I'm waking up in the morning, I'm tired. And it was a case where it was perfect. You know, a shot like that could take all day. We knocked it out in no time. So it was a real credit to the entire cast and crew working in sync.
Our next question is going to be from Tessa Smith from Mama's Geeky. Tessa?
Hi, I got a question for Ray. I just want to know what it's like to have a movie based on you.
It's a surreal experience. It's a wonderful experience, more so than anything. It was something I've been praying for, one would say. So I'm blessed and excited to have the opportunity to be here with all the people that are assembled to make this cast and crew, and to be part of my life forevermore in the future, because this is something I could never thought of, and it's surreal is the word I will use for how I feel about this situation and having a movie about my life. But I'm 34, so hopefully I can get something else going on too.
Ray, you're still a babe. Believe me, you got a lot of life for you still to go and have ahead of you. All right, we're going to go, and I hope I get this name right because I'm afraid I'm going to butcher some, but I'm going to try my best. Just being a little boy from Clemson, South Carolina. But Stanisius Eid from Metro Belgium, you are up.
Yes, hi, this is a question for Jay. I was wondering how much you knew about the real story before getting involved in making the film.
Well, I actually didn't know anything. Going into it, I started my research as soon as I got the material. So watching the YouTube videos, and then also I followed Ray before I even got the role. I followed him on Instagram just to, get a little bit ahead. So I really didn't know anything about it. I just dove in head first and got to know this fantastic story.
How about Jim Fry from D23? Jim?
Hello, yes, this is Jim, D23. My question is for Ray Ray. Hey, Ray Ray, I'm actually from the area. My niece is at Clemson right now. I just want to know a little bit, can you talk a little bit about your background growing up, and did you always want to become a Clemson Tiger?
Background growing up, I grew up in the city of Atlanta. Born in Chicago, Illinois, but raised in the city of Atlanta. I stayed with various coaches, so I kind of bounced around a little bit when I was younger. Clemson came about late my senior year. I actually attended a football camp at Clemson that my trainer and some other coaches sponsored for me, and I was able to receive a scholarship while I was there at the camp. At the Coach Bowden was offering me a scholarship, and Billy Napier was actually a graduate assistant at the time, and now he's offensive coordinator. So it was that long ago. And that's kind of how it came about. But there was a gentleman named Burton Burns, who was the running back coach, who recruited me and made Clemson the family. He was able to portray the family atmosphere that Clemson has come and to always, well, what I've come to always know Clemson to be. So it was a combination of things, and it was one of the better decisions I made in my life.
And Burton actually now is the running back coach for the New York Giants. Has a former Clemson player, Wayne Gallman, there playing running back for him. Thaddeus, let me ask you, if I can, taking on the role of Famar. I mean, young guy. You have to. I mean, just tell me about embracing that role, if you can, in this thing.
Well, yeah, I really wanted to show like how Famar felt on screen and just make sure it comes across the right way. Also, I didn't know that it was based on a true story till I got on set the first day. So I started searching and looked at Oprah Winfrey interview that they did, and I just wanted to try to embody that as much as I could. And I actually almost cried from just watching it because you could just see the pain, and I know he went through a lot. So yeah, I just wanted to show that on screen.
Hunter, for you, the thing that really kind of stood out to me was your very first scene with Jay. All right, when it's the roommate scene, when they comes in. Talk about the chemistry between you two, because it looked like it quickly developed for you.
Yeah, you know, Jay and I had the chemistry from day one. I like to think. I always think about our first chemistry read together. I pulled up to a building for an audition, and I was parking my car, and I see him walking into the building, and I'm like, that's the guy who's playing Ray. So I run up to him. I'm like, hey man, I'm reading for Daniel. How you doing? He was like, whoa, like what's going on here? And we automatically had that Daniel Ray dynamic from day one. He was like, all right, dude, like I'll see you in there. Good luck. And sure enough, one thing led to another, and we ended up doing the film together, and we really had that chemistry from the beginning.
Next question is going to be from Laura Sirical from the Nerds of Color. Laura?
Hi. So just wanted to ask a quick question to Mr. Hudlin and Mr. Asiadi. There's so much in the real story and the process in the story. Was there any part of the story you wish you could have added? Maybe the late Gaines Adams or C.J. Spiller?
You know, I can start with that. I mean, the best thing to do with a movie is try to contract the story, you know, and have it in a smaller amount of time. And I think really with our movie, it was about maybe a 2-3 month period. You know, it's you know, there's so much in Ray's story even that, you know, we couldn't get to, but, you know, in structuring a movie, you have to be, you know, kind of really judicious about, you know, what you want to focus on. I mean, God, our first cut was over 3 hours. So, you know, Reggie can talk about that. We couldn't even fit what we had in the movie into the movie. We had 2 movies.
Yeah, you know, that was the amazing part. Mark is exactly right. You have to be focused about what you're telling. You know, Ray's had a momentous life, and so many incredible things have happened to him before the events of the movie, after the events of the movie. As Ray will tell you, I'm not a movie, I'm a miniseries. But you know, even with what we shot, you know, we ended up having to cut wonderful, incredible scenes out because, you know, you go, but what are we saying? What are we saying? We have to get to the point of the message of the movie. And one of the things that's been most gratifying is that people see the movie, they laugh, they cry, and I go, that's what I want. If you're laughing, you're crying, and you're feeling inspired, then we've done our job.
Corinne, can I ask you about your character development through all of this? I mean, again, the chemistry between you and Jay turned out to be, I thought, just absolutely marvelous. But I mean, you could see it. It was almost like, as I was sitting there watching the movie, you could see yourself developing even as a student on the Clemson campus, and learning kind of what Clemson family was all about as you went through it.
Yeah. Well, the interesting part about my character, Casey, she's one of the characters that's actually not based on a specific person. I remember asking Ray, hey, who's the real Casey? And he goes, there's a lot of girls that are going to think they're Casey. So,
Your composite character.
So we started with that. But, I was really attracted to the role because I have two little sisters that are 12 and 13 years old, and I could only imagine what I would do for them. I would do absolutely anything for them. And so I think that's what attracted me to this story. And then building out Casey, and, she's a sports reporter. She's super persistent. She's determined, and I'm very similar to her in that way. But, she's also a little bit more bold than I am. And so that was really fun to play with. And then obviously the chemistry I have with Jay, we did our chem test, and I remember leaving and going like, that went really well. That went really well. And obviously it did, because I got the role. So it was such a great experience. And I was the only girl, except for the woman who played Ray's mother in the cast, and everyone just huddled around me. And I felt very safe.
Ray, I had no idea that you were that you dated so many women when you were here at Clemson. Atta boy.
A lot of Casey's.
Boy, Ray.
No, not exactly. That's not the what I meant by that. But yeah,
I love it.
Great people.
Let's go to Neeson Williams from That Hashtag Show.
I hope everybody's doing well. I have a question for Jay. The scene where you were signing the papers to get your brother from your mom, to me, it was the most powerful scene in the film. Tell me about the prep to that scene. Tell me about the day. Just how did you go about getting ready for that particular scene?
Well, prepping for that scene actually came with the script. I believe in starting with the paper, but then of course, as I got to know Ray, I would just dig in his brain, and I didn't want to ask him like specific questions like that, because I wanted to feel it for myself. I didn't want him to give me the easy answer to what that might have felt like. So I remember on the day, I was actually sitting in the corner with Thaddeus, and he's just having, he's just being himself and having a great time, and I got this heavy scene to do. But I think that helped me a lot, sitting over there with him and his father and seeing their relationship, and then putting myself in this position where I have to sign over for something like that, for that same type of responsibility, just hit my heart. And I just tried to be honest, in what I would really feel like in that situation. And I'm glad you liked it.
Let's go to Todi Padilla from Cool Moms Cool Tips, who has a question, I think, for Thaddeus.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the movie. It's really incredible. And my question for you, Thaddeus, is what would your message be for children or kids your age that are out there having a very tough time, like your character was?
Yeah, if you're going through something like that right now, especially as a kid, just don't give up and just keep going, because eventually there will be something that'll be very good that will happen. So just don't give up.
Good answer. Good answer. Jay, Hunter, and Thaddeus, can I ask you about the question about the scene where you basically throw him into an equipment bag and have to carry him around? I mean, for Thaddeus, first and foremost, what's it like being in an equipment bag with these two guys carrying you around?
So I wasn't in the bag for a couple of the scenes, like going to the bathroom. But when we got into the bathroom, Jay actually had to put me down. So I was actually in the bag at that time. So it was pretty funny and really cool to be lifted up. So
it was pretty nerve-wracking. I'd say it was nerve-wracking, to have this guy in there. I don't know how, Ray. I don't know how you did it. But that thing is nerve-wracking, to be responsible for somebody like that and hide them like that. Ask Hunter. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Jay definitely had a lot of the pressure. When I was carrying the bag, I'm pretty sure we just had a dummy in there, so I didn't have to worry about that. But I did kind of show that it was a little heavy. But Jay was the one who had to really carry this boy down the hallway. It wasn't easy, but I think it was pulled off. And I think there may be a shot in the bathroom where he was actually in the bag, and I think that may be the take they use, because you really see him struggling with it. I'm not sure. Wrong, Reggie, but I think it may be the actual take. I don't know.
Well, Hunter, you sold it well. I must admit, I got a little concerned when you did the little stumble back through the door. I was like, is he going down? Or I mean, exactly what's going to happen. But no, it was a great scene from there. All right, let's go to Simon Vaness from Attractions Magazine.
Hi there. I mean, this is really a question for Reginald. Because of the sort of iconic sports-based movies we've seen in the past, like Remember the Titans and Rudy as obvious example, how aware were you in advance that you're adding to this, extremely illustrious lineup?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many great sports movies going back to Brian's Song and, as you said, Remember the Titans and Friday Night Lights, and so if you do it well, you can really resonate with audiences. The trick is, what new do you have to say? It's not, it's not about, oh, let's just do what they did. Fortunately, we had a true story, so it was really invaluable to have Ray, involved in the entire process, and having Ray on set for my sake, for the sake of the cast. We could all talk to him and be a touchstone and say, what new do we have to say? What new do we have to contribute to this rich genre of motion pictures? And, and that's what makes me happy. Everyone who sees Safety goes, I like this movie. And yes, it's part of a tradition, but I think Ray's story is unique and has something special to say, and that resonates with everyone who sees it, no matter who they are, no matter where they're from.
Let's go to Caitlin Harrington from the Anderson Independent Mail.
Hey, this question is for Ray. For those of us who are nearby Clemson and remember this story, and people who were here when you were here, what surprises are in store in the film? How much of this was changed, whether it was for theatrics or logistics?
Far as what was changed, maybe nothing that you all would notice as far as changes, because I think what changed more so is the things that we had to cut out. As they mentioned, we had to get the time down from 3 hours to 2 hours. But there's so much more, I think, that they tried that they needed to capture as far as Clemson is concerned. You'll see the campus, you'll see things on campus that you'll notice. And just from all the stadium footage, it's during the game in Death Valley. And for me, it takes me back to the moment, takes me back to the times that I spent at Clemson. And so I hope it does the same for you.
Go to Tanya Lamb from Lola Lamb Chops.
Hi there. So this question is for Reginald and Mark. This story is so inspirational. And so how do you choose whose stories to tell and why Ray Ray's?
Wow. Well, I guess, I can start with that. When this story happened in 2006, that's when I got a hold of the rights. I watched, like many people, the national pieces on ESPN, on ABC, the Oprah Winfrey Show, and I was really, really moved by it. And when you can feel something by watching a 2 or 3 minute clip, and then you start to peel back the layers of what the story is. I was just incredibly moved, and you just have to go off your gut and your instinct. And told the story that we set it up at another studio back in 2006 and developed a screenplay, and I thought it was pretty good, and came close to making it and just didn't happen. And when Disney Plus announced their platform a few years ago, we brought it over and thought it could be a great movie for them. They agreed, and that was it. Brought in Randy McKinnon to write some more, and then hired Reggie, and just got this charmed path to production and cast it really well. but you just have to go off of instincts. There's a lot of great stories out there. You got to figure out what's a movie, what's not a movie. There's no real science to it other than your gut.
And for me, I was fortunate enough to benefit from Mark's hard work over all these years. So I get this script, I'm reading it 20 pages in, I stand up, I start pacing around, and my wife is like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "This is good." So I read another 40 pages, like, "Jacob going to work." And I just really related to Ray's story. I'm from a small town in the Midwest, all Black, economically deprived, where, it takes a lot of energy to get escape velocity, to create opportunity for yourself. And Ray had it, tougher than most. And he's a guy who made a way out of no way in a situation where failure was not an option. And I think, that's a really important message. And I knew it was especially important for the times we're living in, because right now we've got a country that's really torn apart. And what Ray represents, he represents integrity, because he succeeded while maintaining a focus on education, a focus on excellence, which in his case was on the playing field, and most importantly, taking care of his family. And I think those are values that we all think are important. I don't care who you are, where you're from. So if we can come together focusing on those values, I think that starts to heal and rebuild our society.
Our next question is going to be from Lupe Haas from Cinemovie TV.
Hi, how are you guys? You guys made me cry. I love this film. Jay and Thaddeus, oh my God, your relationship on screen is wonderful. And my question is, Jay, what was the first thing you asked Ray? And then Ray, where did that drive come from? Because in the film, it doesn't seem like you have any role models.
Well, the first question I asked him, and he probably won't remember, I know it. I asked him what high school he went to. Because my brother grew up in Atlanta, and my brother was like, "Hey, you playing this guy from Atlanta?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, what high school he went to? I'll tell you what he's like." So I was like, "Okay." So I asked Ray, and Ray said, "I went to Mays." And my brother's like, "Oh," he was taken aback. He was like, "Oh, be careful," So I already knew going into it, Ray had a difficult time at that high school, but I'm pretty sure it was great. So that was the first question I asked him, and then we went from there.
As far as mentors are concerned, as far as me, I've had many mentors. I had a bunch of figures in my life who stepped up and showed me how to be a man. Because I was raised by my coaches. The drive to failure wasn't an option, as what Reggie said, and I feared more of being complacent in where I was, because where I was in the place I wanted to be. So to stay there is scary. That was the scary part to me, to have to deal with the things that I continuously dealt with no end in mind is unfathomable. So my ambitions came from being more so scared. It was the fear of failure, or sometimes the fear of success as well, but more so the fear of failure. I couldn't do it.
Thank you.
Corinne, can I ask you about, this, people that come to see Safety may think, hey, this is a football movie. And yes, football is an element of it. But to me, it's really more a relationship movie. There's a relationship, obviously, that you play, but between you and Ray. There's a relationship of, as has already been stated, between Ray and his mom, Ray and Famar, Ray. I mean, there's all these relationships that are all kind of tied into this movie.
Yeah, definitely. And we said this before, that family isn't just blood relation, and I think that's what this movie is about. There are all these people in Ray's life that are rooting for him, that aren't necessarily blood relation, but are there for him in that way. And Casey kind of acts as a big sister to even Faye and Daniel, and everyone else is kind of just all working together to be there for Ray.
Our next question is going to be from Elisabetta Esposito from Gazzetta del Sports in Italy.
Hello. My question is for Jay and Ray.
Can you tell me something about the social role of sports and how much could be important to be a part of a team?
Well, being a part of a team is always great because you have that sense of community and foundation. Along with that, you get to live with these guys when you're in a college environment. So even on set, I felt like I was going through that experience of being at a D1 program, just how Ray was, and one of the best in the world. So just being on the field, and we had some talented guys on the field, stunt performers and just football players who were really, really, really nice and just welcomed all the actors with open arms. So it was really fun, and I think the socials with that like team environment is needed.
As far as teams are concerned in society, I guess we go back to the two teams that mean the most at this current time, which is the Democratic and Republican Party. And the importance of it in society is that currently those two teams need to come together as the United States of America and do something for everyone in America. And so to bring the importance of team to society, the world needs help. More so America needs help. And I hope that those two teams get together and do it for the team that we are together, which is America. And so in society, I think that's the important part of sport that needs to be taken part, where working together is needed and necessary.
Well said. Very well said. Camille Jefferson from Disney News, you're up.
Hi guys. This question is for Ray Ray. What would you say was the most challenging part of taking care of your brother for those first few months that everything was happening with your mom? And do you think that the movie was able to portray those emotions effectively?
The most difficult part about the first few months was, I guess, straddling the line of between of what I was able to do and what others were able to do. Being that I was moving in silence and not necessarily telling a lot of people what I was doing early on, it was just being alone in for the most part in my decision that was the toughest part. But once everyone found out, life became a lot easier. But then for a moment, it was harder because no one could help. But then eventually everyone was allowed to help. And my teammates were always there. They were always guys that I could count on. And so even through the tougher times, I had people I could lean on, and that was a God's gift, I guess.
Thank you.
Go to Tim Haddock from That's It LA.
Sorry, that's IT LA.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. That's okay. A little confusing. Yeah, just a quick question about the people in the movie. I know there's lots of heroes in this movie, and you can pick from a big pool of them. But I wanted to know from Ray and from Jay, who do they think is the hero of this movie, and who are the bad guys?
Well, if you ask me, I'm gonna have to go with Famar. I think Famar is the hero of the movie. We wouldn't be here today if Famar didn't exist. We wouldn't be talking of this great, wonderful film and have this story if the situation with Famar and Ray's mother, she's also a hero to me in this movie. I don't think there's any really real bad guy, just a bad situation. You can't necessarily blame anyone for having rules or regulations prior to a situation. So I don't think anyone had ill will. It's just a situation.
If I had to pick a hero of the movie, it'd probably be Famar as well. Because even in real life, Famar was the catalyst that made me step up. I was a teenager. I was crazy. I was young. I wasn't different from many other teenagers. Although I had a story, I hadn't been asked to step up, and he put me in a position where he kind of brought leadership to me, and unfortunately I stepped in and I was ready to go. And I can appreciate that. As far as bad guys in in the movie. I probably would call myself a bad guy in the movie. Reason being, it was, looking back, you always feel like there's things you could have done differently in some situations that you could have possibly changed. And so me being not necessarily a perfectionist, but one person that wants to get a bunch of things right, I feel like there were a lot of things during those times that I didn't get right that I would much rather change now if looking back at it.
I tell you, the boys at the apartment scene, when you go get Famar and take him out of there, I'm sitting in the couch saying, get out of there now, boy.
Those guys.
Dragging in there, get out of there. Thaddeus, how does it feel to hear people call you, kind of like the hero role of this movie?
That's just crazy. It's just amazing to be called the hero. I also think, Ray is the hero for me too, because he's saving me. I can go to foster care if he don't take care of me. And I really would call him a hero too. And I guess I'm a hero too, so.
Let's go to Sophia Serafina from Cinephilos in Italy.
Hi, it's Sonia, but it's okay.
Again, little old Clemson boy, sorry about that.
It's okay. Ciao, guys, and thank you for the movie. You make me cry a lot, but the story is so emotional. This is for Reginald, but it's also very funny. How did you find the balance to tell this story in the right way? And there is anything maybe that you changed during the making of the movie?
Well, I make all kinds of movies. I've done comedies like House Party and Boomerang, and I've done dramas like Marshall. And what I loved about this movie, it was a little bit of everything. I know that if you're, in college hanging out with your friends, you're going to have a good time. There's going to be funny incidents. If you're hanging out with your little brother, doing up to stuff, you're going to have fun. So that's a natural part of the story what we're telling. And I thought those fun moments help set up the dramatic moments and vice versa. That's life. Life has all those different layers to it. So, you have fun and then the rug gets pulled out from under you. And suddenly you feel the hardship because things were going so well and then they aren't. And then, when you're just, when we, have faith walking in the rain on the way home, it's heartbreaking because, this is a terrible situation. And as we were saying earlier, there's no villains. It's just the unfortunate aspects of that circumstance. So you can't even get mad at anybody. It's a bunch of people being forced to do things that they don't want to do. The coach's wife wants to give him a ride, but she can't because that would put him in even more trouble. So these terrible catch-22s that they're all trying to survive. And I like that. I like that people laugh and then 10 minutes later in the movie, they're crying. I would have little test screenings. I invite friends over, have some food, have some wine, and I watch them watch the movie. I sit in the back and I watch. In the last 15 minutes, a friend of mine she was crying for 15 minutes. And I was sitting there going, I drink your tears. I'm so happy that I'm actually touching you emotionally, that you care about these characters. That's what I knew that the movie worked. And it really made me grateful. And as for things I would want to do differently, always, you do it and then you go, oh, now I get it. So hopefully this movie's a hit and I'll get a chance to get, every time you make a movie, you challenge yourself. I love making a different type of movie every time. That's why I like going, I did an animated movie. Now I'm doing a documentary. Now I'm doing a sports movie, because you have to have that little bit of fear of like, this could not work out. Okay, I'm out here. Bring your A game because you could fail. And that's part of the excitement.
Just got a couple of minutes left. We'll go to Laura Siricol.
Hi. Okay, so this is a fun question because the film is set in 2016, which many of the actors here were either young children or tweens, or in Davius' cases, I don't think maybe not born yet. So what was it like to be around 2006 elements, like the phone, the music, and just like the elements that they had that kind of took me back? But I don't know about you guys, because you guys were probably really young. So this is to the actors who had to be in those elements.
I will say that the most exciting part for me is I got to drive this turquoise VW Bug when I was a child, because I was in 2006, I was like 10 or 11. That was my dream car. I was like, when I turn 16, that is the car I'm getting. And so when I showed up on set and I saw that was Casey's car, I took pictures with it, inside of it, outside of it. I was super excited.
For me, it was it was a lot of fun because I was actually Faymar's age during this time. So to see Thaddeus there just kind of just made me think about myself, like, wow, you know, I remember using the phone. I had the flip phone, and I had a sidekick and all that. So I remember seeing all this stuff and thinking, wow, these are things I always wanted. You know, I wanted a flip phone so bad at that age, and I didn't get one until I was 18, my first phone. So it was definitely like a wish come true, you know. It was fun.
For me, it was the baggy clothes. Like I always ever since I was little, I always wanted to like wear baggy clothes, but that kind of wasn't in style because when I was born, it was 2008, and I guess in 2010, when I was just older and stuff, the whole style had just changed. So it was just really cool for me to be able to wear baggy clothes, and it was just really fun.
The music really brought me back to it. Listening to that amazing soundtrack of songs and then having that party scene with the lean back. It was so much fun. It was an amazing soundtrack, and I'm excited for everybody to hear it.
Hunter, I'll play on that, man. When they do the teaching Faymar to dance, and Jay, I don't know if you were part of this, but the selection of the music for that, Earth, Wind, and Fire, I don't know if that was an homage back to those guys, but perfect. Absolutely perfect.
This is Reggie.
No, that's my jam. I mean, you know, I love that whole era of music. I mean, to go from 70s Earth, Wind, and Fire to 90s to have, you know, T.I., Outkast, Trick Daddy, you know, I love all those different eras of music. So then when we were preparing to shoot the movie, and I talked to Ray, and he talked about how important music was for him and how he listened to music, both of the era, and he also listened to music his mom listened to. So I was like, ooh, that means I can justify going in, you know, both 90s music and 70s music because both eras were really important to him. So I went to town.
Great choice. High school grad of 1980. Couldn't have gotten any better. Hey, unfortunately, we're out of time, gang. Great movie. Looking forward to everybody getting a chance to see this. Kudos to everybody. And I can tell you that from Clemson, we appreciate what you have done for this community, telling Ray's story. I mean, it's unbelievable. There are other stories, believe me, that can be told from this community, but I don't know that you'll find one more poignant than Ray's story. So job well done, gang. Job very well done.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you.
And with that, that's a wrap. Appreciate
All
it.
right.
Great job.
Happy holidays,
Guys,
everybody.
thanks for all the reporters. Thanks for
Thanks, guys,
watching the
for
movie and paying attention and caring.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
And be sure to watch Safety December 11th with your family. Throw that in there.
Love it.
JPI, can we go ahead and cut, please?